video, I'm going to be telling you the truth about confidence and attraction. Now, it's very important before we get into this video, however, that you've watched the two previous videos in this entire sequence. If you haven't seen those yet, then you should go back and watch them. The first one's the truth about dating, and the second one is what psychologists will tell you is the real trigger to attraction. But if we go up to an average person on the street and say to them, hey, what does it take to be attractive? Everyone say, you just got to be confident. I can't tell you how many times as a dating coach I've met these like guys that do really well with women or women that are giving advice to all their friends about how to be good at dating. And they always say the same thing. Just be confident. If you're confident, then you'll get everything you want. But yet, there are still so many people out there being like, I don't know what that means. How do I get confident? That doesn't really work for me. What the hell is confidence? It's like this catch-all phrase that you can say to anyone. Oh, you need dating advice? Be confident and everything will be great. Except that doesn't really mean anything. And trust me, I was someone who wasn't confident. I've already shared my story with you. And you know that, being voted least likely to ever get a girlfriend really does give you low confidence. But now, when it comes to dating, I'm incredibly confident. So what is that change? What is that different? What happened? And what happened was I learned true confidence. Now, in the previous video, I mentioned that your parents would give you a clue to what true confidence is. And that's because your parents are always like, oh, anyone would be lucky to get you. You're a great person. But that's because they see a version of you that no one else sees. And that is you when you're at your most comfortable. I always tell somebody, you're truly confident when you're sitting at home, like around Thanksgiving dinner, that kind of time, right? Because, you sit back, you're relaxed, you put your feet up, maybe you're not wearing any pants, who knows? But this is what it means to be truly confident. But when you meet new people, we always put on a face, right? We always put on our best self. But your best self isn't actually your true best self. It's just the self that you think you have to put on. And it's not really the real you. The real you is comfortable and relaxed. And that is what it means to be truly confident. The problem is it's hard to fake it. The way our brain works is you've got all these brain chemicals that affect your behavior. And one of the big ones is a chemical called cortisol, which is triggered in stressful situations. When cortisol is triggered, it triggers the fight or flight response, and all of these things trigger adrenaline, which stops you from looking relaxed and comfortable because your body's wired to take action and you come across nervous and hyperactive and ultimately unattractive. If you truly want to be attractive or come across as attractive, then you have to find real confidence, like that deep confidence that only comes with one specific thing. And I'm going to share it with you. And the easiest way to think of this is when you think about driving a car. See, the very first time anyone drives a car, they're usually quite nervous. That's because that cortisol chemical kicks in, triggers stress. You start getting nervous, your adrenaline kicks in, and you ultimately don't know what you're doing, right? You're not sure where your hands should be. Maybe you're driving stick for the first time and you're hearing that gear grinding as you're trying to find the bite point between the clutch and the accelerator, and everything's difficult. And the first time you drive, you're very nervous. And that's because you're not comfortable yet. And what happens is the more you drive, the more comfortable you become. And as you become more comfortable, then suddenly driving gets easier. And it gets to a point where you become supremely confident at driving. In fact, one of the main reasons why people have accidents driving is because they're too comfortable. It's because they're so relaxed, they're not really thinking about what they're doing and they're taking it for granted. And then they're much more likely to have an accident. That level of comfort, the good news is that's what you need to be attractive. But in the same way, if you get too comfortable in your relationship, that's when your relationship can start to fall apart because you can start taking someone for granted. You can start not really caring about them. And what happens is we'll often see people in relationships where we feel that, they're being taken advantage of or they're in a bad relationship. And what we're really seeing is that their partner is so comfortable that they're taking advantage of this person. But that also makes their partner incredibly attractive because they're so comfortable. It makes you feel comfortable to be around them. So even though they're not putting in all that effort, it doesn't matter because they're so comfortable, it makes you want to be around them. On the other hand, if someone was constantly putting in effort, it actually keeps you on your toes, but not in a good way because you're constantly trying to match that level. And so this is why when you start meeting somebody, if you're constantly trying to do something for them, you actually weird them out a little bit because you're putting in so much effort. It's almost like, look, hey, I'm putting all this effort. It makes them feel like they have to put in that much effort as well. And that just doesn't sound like a fun environment to be in, right? I don't want to be in a relationship where someone's doing so much for me that I have to do so much for them as well. And then we're both doing so much for each other that we never get to relax or really just enjoy hanging out and being together. And what's funny is I'll see people that are like, I met someone, I really liked them, so I bought them flowers, took them out to dinner, did all these things, and they're not into me. I don't get what's wrong. And I was like, it's because you're trying too hard. And then so I just shouldn't try at all. I should just ignore them. I'm like, no, you got to make them feel comfortable, because that's what true confidence is. True confidence is about being comfortable. You want two people to be comfortable together. And there are so many ways that people ruin this when they're first with someone. So one of the ways that somebody will ruin it is they'll put them up on a pedestal and they'll say, oh my gosh, this person's so perfect, you're so beautiful, you're so wonderful. But the minute you do that, again, you're setting this standard that's so high that you're expecting the person to live up to it. But human beings know we're flawed. They know that when they get up in the morning, they don't look perfect. Until they do their makeup and their hair and everything, they don't look great. But it feels good to be told how great you are and to be told that you're beautiful and everything's great. So you don't want to get into a relationship with that person that's telling you how great you are, because you know that you're going to fail to hit that standard. So it's easier to not hang out with them very often, only see them periodically so they can see the perfect you, and then you go away. But that means that you'll never get to see them, in the morning when they first wake up and they've got bad breath and their hair isn't done. You're never going to get to see them, when they're feeling sick and their skin's green and they're not coming across in the best way. And so they don't want to be in a relationship with you. Ultimately, most of us want to be in a relationship with someone that makes us feel comfortable, that makes us feel loved, that makes us feel cared about. And so when we're talking about real confidence, that absolute raw confidence, the whole point of it is to make the people that you're dating feel comfortable being around you. And it took me a very long time to understand this difference. You see, your parents are incredibly comfortable around you. They've been around you, when you were sick, when you were pooping your diaper, and they've seen all the versions of you and they know who you truly are. And so they feel comfortable around you and you make them feel comfortable. And that is what your potential partner or your current partner wants to feel around you. They want to feel comfortable. Now, the balance to that is they also want to feel cared about. They also want to feel that they're important, but not at the expense of feeling comfortable. So it's really like a balancing act. You can think of it like a cup of tea. If you have a cup of tea, maybe you like your cup of tea a little bit sweet, so you add a little bit of sugar. But no one wants a cup of sugar with a little bit of tea, right? You just want to add just a little bit. And it's the same thing. We want to feel comfortable, but we also want to be challenged, and we also want to, have attention, but just a little bit. Enough every day that we feel respected, we feel loved, we feel not taken for granted for, but at the same time, we feel comfortable. I can't tell you how many times I'll work with a student and they'll be like, oh my gosh, I'm really attracted to this person. I'm like, okay, do you know them? And they go, no, not really, but I'd really want to be with them. I was like, do you know anything about them? Do you know like what they want to do for fun? What TV shows they like watching? Like what kind of movies they watch? They go, no, but I think they're stunning. I was like, okay, so let's just imagine that you got in a relationship with that person, you started dating them, and then, you were intimate and you had this wonderful, very physical encounter that lasted, let's just say 3 hours out of the day. And they go, yeah, that'd be great. I was like, what are you going to do for the other 21 hours? And they're like, what do you mean? I'm like, there's another 21 hours together. What are you going to do? They go, well, we'll sleep, we'll eat, we'll both have to go and do a job and go and work. And they list all this stuff that, doesn't make that person seem like they need to be in your life. Like there's no real connection there. Whereas the reality is most of the time you spend with your partner is time where you need to be comfortable with each other. And you're most comfortable when you're doing things you both love, doing things you both enjoy. And then the physical encounters and the romance and the dinners and the walks and all that stuff, that's like the icing on the cake. That's the sugar that we add to the cup of tea. It's just a little bit. But the main part of the relationship is being comfortable. And if you don't feel comfortable talking to people that you're attracted to, if you don't feel comfortable hanging out with people that, you might want to have a relationship with, then that's the real thing you got to work on. It's not about how do I find the perfect person? How do I jump into a relationship with somebody? It's how do I get comfortable being around the kind of people I'm attracted to and making them feel comfortable with you, because this is a two-way street. It's not good enough just for you to feel comfortable being around them. They've got to feel comfortable around you and vice versa. It's got to be a balance. Because I'll meet people that are like, oh, so I just got to be like I am at home. Well, at home, I always kick my feet up and tell everybody they can go F themselves. And I'm like, right, but that's not going to make anyone feel comfortable around you. So that's not attractive either. It's really about just finding this really nice balance where you make people feel comfortable around you, you feel comfortable around them, you're hanging out with people that you genuinely like and you want to be with, and then the attraction can kick in after that. So once you can understand this concept, then it puts you in a much better place to be able to get the relationship that you want. But you got to be open to that. You got to be open to that idea of making someone feel comfortable. Then I get people that say, okay, you know what, Adam, I already have, a whole bunch of people that I like. I already make people feel comfortable, and yet still nothing happens. I still get stuck. I'm confident, I'm comfortable. I've got lots of people around me, but they all just want to be friends. Nothing ever happens. And that's because they're missing the final and most important point, when it comes to generating true attraction. And that is, you've got to be able to get people aroused. You've got to be able to make them want to be with you. You've got to be able to turn them on. You've got to be able to get that flirtation going. And that's something I'm going to be talking about in the very next video. I'm going to be taking you through why that is so important, why you need to be the person that can generate that physical attraction, or that raw chemistry between the two of you. There's many times that people go on a date, and at the end of the date, the person just says, you know what, I like you, you're a nice person, but I just don't feel chemistry. And what they mean by chemistry is literal brain chemistry. There is a chemical in your brain that triggers attraction. And if you cannot trigger that chemical in the person that you're hanging out with, then you're going to end up in a situation where they aren't going to feel that chemistry, and they're just going to see you as a friend and nothing else. And so you need this final piece of the puzzle. And so in the very next video, I'm going to tell you about how to turn on somebody's brain chemistry, how to trigger chemistry with somebody. And so if you're interested in learning about that, then you're gonna wanna make sure you watch that very next video, because I'm gonna be taking you through exactly what that is and why it's so important. So don't miss out, make sure you watch out that video. And as always, please feel free to leave me a comment down below. Let me know what you thought of this video. Did it help you? Did it give you some insight into what you should be doing or how you should be doing things? Is there anything else you'd like to know? Just leave some comments down below, and I'll see what I can do about going through and making more content to help you with that. Thanks ever so much for watching. See you in the next video.